All right. So just got back into the hotel, having a bit of a chat with Joy. Hi, Joy.
Hi, Chan.
And one of the reasons is we caught up for a bit of an interview on the day that we left, like day zero. One of the things that you're really interested in before we left was the role of the Innovation Hub, particularly within women and
Yes.
women in regional areas. Today we had an opportunity to have a bit of a chat with Heather from SHEeo,
Yes.
along with 10-10-10, doing some exceptional work in developing women entrepreneurs. So maybe a bit of a chat around now your experiences after hearing from her and how you see as opportunities for the local area, particularly in Toowoomba, Ipswich, and some of the regional Queensland.
Yeah. So the really good thing that I found from Heather was the fact that what they're working on is actually creating a platform that's going to be sustainable year after year. So it's about raising funds from a lot of women, a small amount of money from a lot of women who will then contribute into the community as mentors in helping select a number of women or female founded startups where the majority of the business is female owned, to actually grow and scale that business, and then over a period of 5 years those funds actually get repaid and then recycled through to another round. So ideally, if you could raise each year, then over a 5-year period you just have a perpetual cycle of funds that can be used to invest into female-founded startups that repay and mentor and continually building women up within whichever community it might be. And then as that grows, you could take it from from maybe being the whole of Australia to just being Queensland to just even being Southeast Queensland, and grow it in other areas as well. So I think there's huge potential for that sort of model to work in Australia.
Because Heather went out there and what were the numbers? So she went to a thousand women.
1,000 women, $1,000.
In 100 days.
In 100 days, which was just amazing.
Yeah.
And so there's no return. So you're giving your $1,000 for the betterment of other women, and that will continually cycle through. So it's not just a one-off gift. Effectively, it's every 5 years your $1,000 is going to rinse and repeat, which is just an awesome way to do it.
And the women had to have $50,000 in revenue to apply,
Yes.
because that gave them some confidence that they'd at least get that first quarterly payment back.
That's right. So it's not for an entire startup, just for an idea. So you have to be generating some revenue so that you can definitely afford to make that commitment. So 20 quarterly payments over the 5 years to repay the amount. The other really great thing that I liked was that you've got $1 million pool. You've got 5 women that get selected out of those women who are eligible to apply, and then those 5 women actually come together and decide who gets how much, and they can't just split it equally. They can't just go, oh, we'll have $200,000 each. It doesn't work that way. It's about working out, from my projections for my business, what I need to be able to grow my business over that period, and what I'm confident I can afford to repay. How much do I actually need now? And one of the groups of women that did it actually had a little pool left over. They didn't even use all of that money. They kept a pool, and then if something else did come up along the way, they could draw from that and put it back and draw again. So I thought that was a really awesome way to support each other. But yeah, the fact that I might need only like $80,000, but someone else might need $150,000. But it's really about understanding your business and knowing what you need and why you need it, and being able to discuss that as a round table of those 5 women. I think that's an awesome way to do it.
And let's talk briefly about 10-10-10.
Yep.
So Heather, ex-executive with a lot of major corporations, now getting active in the entrepreneurial space. In addition to SHEeo, she's also running 10-10-10.
Yep.
Maybe share a little bit more about that.
Sure. So 10 entrepreneurs who've had a startup and exited. They're not currently involved in a business. They've got obviously some cash behind them, but the most important thing is their networks. So getting 10 entrepreneurs together, 10 problems from the community. Now, in the past, they've focused on healthcare, but 10 real key issues about, social issues. So whether it's healthcare, it could be water, it could be something else, and bringing those 10 people in, as well as these organisations that are involved in those social issues and understand them, the data and all of the information and the connections from that side of it, and then 10 days. So bring them together for 10 days. Those 10 entrepreneurs get supported to understand what they'd like to work on, why they want to work on it, what's really, what means something to them inside, and then through their connections, their networks, building a business that's going to sustainably support the improvement of that area of whatever the social issue is, and within 10 days have a fully functioning business that they can then keep going. So obviously a portion, so about 4% equity is taken, so that 10-10-10 can sustain itself and pay what it needs to pay from the exits of those businesses later on. But it's about building something that entrepreneur who's got experience, who's been there, done that, has the network to make it happen in a really rapid time frame, and continue it for maybe another 9 months, 12 months, 2 years, and then exit it and reap those rewards back into that organisation to again rinse and repeat.
And it's almost like that one talk today with Heather. I'm going to kind of address both of our conversations at the beginning. One, definitely with you, with the female entrepreneurs, and with me is what is that connection between the hub or the programs in the hub and that local community. And it's like that very specific example of a program that's designed just for that.
Absolutely, and I think it could work in other situations as well. Same sort of thing. So I think it's fantastic.
Cool. Thanks.
Thank you.
So we are in San Francisco, just coming back from dinner. We landed earlier today, earlier we were in Denver, and we had a bit of a chat with a venture firm. Wouldn't mind having a bit of a chat with our illustrious leader, Aaron Birkby, to get his thoughts on what they were saying, as well as a bit of the state of play for early stage investment in Australia, and in particular around Brisbane and the regional areas. Aaron.
Cool. Rocky Venture Club. So it's an angel group, essentially, although they've now also set up a fund. A membership model, very cheap membership model. They articulate as one of the cheapest angel clubs, but there's a massive focus on education. So educating angels through courses and through like an angel accelerator, and also startup founders, and actually merging them together in the same classroom, which I think is incredibly valuable because they can actually see how each other think and how they have to deal with things. They've been going for 30-ish years, I think was the response. 200 and something angels and roughly 250 startup founder members as well. I think lots of lessons there for Australia. I think we need to bring more of that educational piece back to the investment community back home, and particularly those that aren't already investors. We have a lot of wealth back home where a lot of people have made money in traditional industries or in property, bricks and mortar, and we need to activate them into the tech sector without screwing up investments for startups as well, like actually screwing up the startup. So I think I would love to actually bring investors over to Denver and do the courses, but also spend time with people like that so they get the cultural transformation as well. I think that's really important.
Because I know, particularly in regional areas, we talk about having some of these early stage angel investors that are in the regions. One of the things that really struck me is both giving them a bit of the process, because it is high risk investment, so giving them that security, and also the second part being the education. Maybe a little bit more on the distinction between bringing a group of investors, and within the next even 6-12 months, would it be possible to bring some of our local investors in the regional areas over?
Yes.
And then what does it look like to get maybe those guys over to our area?
Yeah, so look, they were very keen to come out to Australia and deliver courses and content, and that's a discussion we can have. But I think I'm a big fan of taking our investors or our potential investors over to that market. I think they get a chance to see not just that investment group, but other investment groups. We can run different social events, but they get that cultural difference that we pick up when we're here on this trip. They can actually see the way they look at risk, they can see the way they look at startups. They have more examples of startups that have been successfully acquired and the impact that's had on their town. So the conversations in Boulder around those tiny startups that got acquired that ended up becoming the Google Center, the Facebook Center, dragging those big names to town. I think there's key lessons there that we need to bring people over here to see. And we could do that very easily. It doesn't require much at all. We could spin up a mission in a couple of months.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, thanks, Aaron.
Yeah.